Good.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck.
Good evening. Happy 2026. We're back with the live edition of the Mac Truck Podcast presented to you by the Sports Avenger Sports Network. My name is Mac Truck. Welcome back. We're here for a short amount of time. Okay. We're here to talk sports. We're here to talk NBA trade deadline. We're here to talk the CFP National Championship Football Playoff Semifinals. But we're here. We're back. Happier than ever to be here. I missed you guys. And if you didn't miss me, I don't blame you. Like I said, we're here. We're getting things set up here. Thank you guys for joining me. It's been a little bit. We took a little bit of a break, took a little bit of a little bit of a hiatus just to kind of get things going and moving again, but kind of revamped the show, kind of did some stuff to it, changed it, made it better. If you're listening to the audio version, you can find that pretty much anywhere you find your podcast, anywhere you find your streaming services, all the things. But we're here to talk about it. So if you follow the NBA, okay, everybody should follow the NBA. Everybody should follow basketball in all of its entirety. If you don't, coming along, so let's hop into it. Obviously, trade news has just come out that obviously from a couple days ago now that Trae Young is now the face of the Washington out of the University of Oklahoma. Okay, got drafted to the Atlanta Hawks. Is now the face of the Washington Wizards. He does join the likes of a Chris Middleton. He joins the likes of a Trey Johnson. He joins the likes of a Marvin Bagley the third, rather. And to be quite honest with you, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see how things happen, how things turn out for the Wizards. Right now, the Wizards are obviously in almost dead last place at 15th out of 16 teams in the Eastern Conference, just about 17 and a half games behind the Detroit Pistons, who are currently number one in the Eastern Conference as well. Detroit Pistons looks good this year, and right now I don't really see anybody catching them anytime soon, which is crazy because when we think about basketball, we talk about basketball, look at basketball, observe it with our eyes, the eye test, all the things. We wouldn't have put the Detroit Pistons in the conversation a couple of years ago. They've been building for the past couple of years, but in terms of them just getting back to an upper echelon of historical basketball, I don't think we could have put them really in a spot to really consider them a force to be reckoned with, things of that nature. However, this is what it is. Sports are sports. Things happen. And trades happen, more or less, for the fact that Trae Young, like I said, has been with the Atlanta Hawks for his entire career. Has had a couple All-Star runs, has had a couple records broken over there, history made. And kind of like I just was talking about in the radio edit audio version for our show, when you're a veteran and you're getting up there in that echelon of veteranship with your game, craft, or sport, whatever you want to call it, it sometimes can take a toll on you trying to find the different ways, rather, to re-elevate your game or find a resurgence for your game. And I think that's the hardest thing as an athlete in general, is trying to find different ways to constantly change your game, constantly improve your game, constantly improve yourself as an athlete or a player. And I think for Trae Young, that's been a little bit of an issue just because he has also been out with a quad injury for what seems like well over a month now. On top of that, the Atlanta Hawks have progressively been playing better without him. So you also have to kind of take that into consideration as far as that. And with the trade deadline coming, that the Atlanta Hawks were just looking to kind of be more flexible when it comes to the growth of their franchise, always want to take consideration, where we make moves, where we make cuts. I think with Trey Young making this move, I think it's overall court IQ and all the tangibles that he does attain at being a basketball player. I think with the mixture of players that he is now surrounding himself with, new teammates, new coach, new environment, sometimes that's what it takes to your get your resurgence and get your reestablishment of your sport going. And I love to see it, frankly. I'm really here for, just as a fan, as a former player, I'm here to see the the overall outcome, whether you make whether you get a national championship, whether you get uh you know all stars, all pros, depending on what sports you play. I'm here to see how your career, as a fan, I'm here to see how you progressed in your career. What did you do in your first couple seasons as a rookie? What have you done in like your middle? What are you doing as a veteran to that consistency? And for me, like, being a person who watches a lot of different basketball, I don't just watch like my favorite collegiate conference. I don't just watch my favorite NFL conference, MLB conference, whatever that is. I watch, personally, just for me, I watch the sport in its entirety. It also is the women of the sport. We do video edit, other, we do talk about the growing sports, so we'll have that specific. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people, saying one thing or the other about women's sports is everywhere. Everybody watches women's sports, whether you're watching for failures or whether you're watching because you're truly into sport. To differentiate the fact that there's all different sides of a sport that you can watch and get into is what makes sports great, especially when it comes to just NBA that we're talking about right now. There's a lot of support from its female counterparts. There's a lot of support from its male counterparts if you're talking about the WNBA, which we'll get into in the next live show. And I think for its entirety, you have to find those different ways to elevate your game, whether you're, self promoting your game and your person off season, whether it's, doing marketing, doing, whatever that looks like. I think it's very vital that players get the opportunity to try to reestablish themselves as a player or an athlete or a coach, whatever that looks like. And for me, I really like this move with Trey Young and the Hawks. I like to see how the Hawks are going to do before the trade deadline. I like to see if Trey Young can get healthy before the trade deadline and help get the Wizards to a spot where they're starting to get more wins under their belt. I mean, we haven't quite hit the quarter mark of the NBA season for 2025. We're able to get there right around the All-Star break. I think it's going to be that much more important to see where some of these trades end up and where some of these players end up. And speaking of trades, we still have more trade talk to talk about in terms of Ja Morant. Okay, everybody knows Ja Morant's very controversial. Everybody knows Ja Morant plays basketball at a high level. That's all these players that we're talking about, athletes that we're talking about on all the mainstream sports channels, all the mainstream, engines, teams, the big power pyramid of professional sports. In terms of the NBA, Ja Morant is also in that upper echelon of player. So, and the pure fact that now reports are coming out that the Memphis Grizzlies are also basically shopping around trade ideas for Ja Morant is also a little bit of the same thing I just talked about with Trey Young. Is Ja Morant has been in the league for a few years now. He's excelled as a rookie. He's broken records. He's made history. He's pretty much had the Memphis Grizzlies on his back since he got there, since he was drafted out of college. Okay. He's also had a little bit of trouble, and that could also be a basis as to why the Grizzlies are wanting to shop around and see. So, still contract. He's still under contract until 2028. But as of this summer, he also has a a 3-year extension option for $178 million. So, depending on if he stays with the Grizzlies or if he, there's going to be a lot of team control there with the him being still on contract and then the option of the $178 million extension. So, and this is also just so you guys know, like, we always like try to cite where we're getting our information from. We get a lot of our information from Sean Sharani on ESPN.com, as well as a lot of the other major sporting news engines, as theathletic.com, Bleach Report, that, things like that. So you always want to cite where you're getting information from, since we are independent sports media. More, I am interested to see how this Ja Morant possibility of a trade goes. I'm also interested to see how this the ending portion, I guess, or the residuals of the Trae Young trade goes now that he's in Washington. How much longer is he going to be out? How much longer is he going to be unavailable? Is he going to be available before the trade deadline in terms of being able to actually tangibly touch the court and play with his new teammates before the All-Star break? Like, there's so many other things that we look at that we need to before we kind of make a judgment, rather, as to who and what, who or what won the trade. And also, just so you guys are aware, a lot of the details kind of get missed when you, do your public media, all that. But there were also no trade. There were zero trades. The Hawks. There was no draft picks. There was no waivers, anything like that. It was purely give and take. They also traded Trae Young for his $49 million player option, plus the 3-year extension that he has option for the summer, and CJ McCollum, as well as Corey Kispert. So, couple players, couple money options traded between the two. So, and you always love to see it. You love to see when you can make a trade without having to give up picks. Like, I think that's should be done. It also depends on the echelon of play. It depends on the type of player, position, all the things. It's like I said, it's just nice to see that we can do these types of things without having to give up a bunch of draft picks or give up later dates. That time Morant would go. I'm not real sure what teams need a type of 1-2 guard combo. So, we'll see. Sports are that. They are an athletic ability played at its highest potential. Okay. With that being said, we're gonna move on. Okay. Those college football fans out there in the realm of sport. Okay. I'm actually a collegiate fan. I used to be a collegiate athlete. I love college sport. It don't matter what it is. Matters not to me. And some comments over here on the TikTok feed, and you're joining us. Thank you for joining us on YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook Live, both of the Facebook pages, Sports Avengers, Big. Surely be no tide rolling. Okay, we're gonna get to the semis here in just a second, but big shout out to you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, we took a couple months off, revamped the show, started doing our radio edits, all the things, and now we're back to doing both. Okay, it's a Tuesday evening here in Michigan. It was like spring here today. Okay, it was like 50-something degrees, and me and Babe was outside trying to get a tan. Babe had a cute little sweater on. I don't know if she got some sunlight. Probably not. Myself, on the other hand, I feel like anytime I turn a light on, I get sunlight. So there's that. Either way, we moving on. College football semifinals are wrapped up, and your national championship is set. If you watched the games this past week, they did not disappoint. And if you thought they were disappointing, I don't know what to tell you, because that's absolutely asinine. Okay, absolutely crazy if you didn't think that these semifinals were full of controversy and full of drama, because they absolutely were. Starting with the Miami Hurricanes versus the Ole Miss Rebels. Okay, Hottie Toddy, Land Sharks, whatever you want to call them, Trinidad Chambliss versus the former two-time national champion Bulldog backup quarterback in Carson Beck. That game did not disappoint. In fact, the game ended on a very controversial non-call of a pass interference that was absolutely pass interference. I don't know if any of you guys know how to break down film or watch the damn game. And I feel like at this point, I need to just try to find my way as a referee or an official on some of these games. Because why on earth would you not call that pass interference? Someone tell me why. Because the last time I checked, you can't stick your hand on the inside of somebody's, in the front of the inside of somebody's shoulder patch. You can't pull them over here. You can't grab them by the back. That's what they call a horse collar. That is an illegal football move. That is a 15-yard penalty. Why the officials for this SEC ACC matchup, and I'm believing it was a Big Ten crew, which tells me everything I need to know, frankly. You can't do that. Throw the damn flag. What are you doing? Throw the flag. And I don't know, they showed it on so many different angles. They showed it from the front angle, they showed it from the sky angle, they showed it from the side angle, the back camera angle by the other line judge. You can't do that. And frankly, if that flag were actually flagged like it should have damn been, Trinidad Chambliss and Kwan Lacey and Coach Pete Golding are going to the national championship. But at this case, as I always say, you can't leave the game and the results in the hands of the judges. You just can't. That's why you got to go out there every game day and put it all on the line. And by no means am I saying that they didn't, because both teams, every team that has played in any stretch to the imagination, out there and left it on the line, unless you're the Alabama crew. That's just what it is. You can't leave the game in the hands of the judges or the referees or whatever you want to call it. That's not how it's done. You want to be sure that you win the game and handily. You want to be sure that when you step out on the field, that you guys are giving it your all. Coaching staff is coaching well. Players are playing well. Special team. You want to make sure everything is one cohesive unit. That's what this game was up until that non-call of a pass interference. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me why they did not call it. And they even were trying to justify it up in New York. That was a damn horse collar. Throw the fucking flag, okay, and give them the 15-yard penalty. Now, I'm not saying that that's indicative of Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss Rebels winning the game, but you damn sure should have threw that flag. Absolutely. And I don't care if I got to get on my high horse for the next several years, because the Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss Rebels got hosed in that respect. In terms of the game, they lost by only 4 points. It was 31-27 in favor of the Miami Hurricanes. Okay, Coach Mario Cristobal. Okay, listen, Carson Beck going back to the national championship. It's the ACC versus the Big Ten yet again. And moving on into that second game, okay, the Indiana Hoosiers did what they are undefeated at 15-0 right now. They are still the number one team in the country, rather, at 15-0. Okay. Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza Jr., okay, Coach of the Year and Kurt Signetti, okay. What they have been able to build in the past 2 seasons at Indiana has been nothing short of phenomenal. Let's just throw that out there right now. Coach Kurt Signetti 2 seasons ago was the head coach for the James Madison University football team. Okay. He turned that program around, brought them a conference championship and a couple other accolades. Then takes the head coaching job at Indiana. Okay. Last year, takes Indiana to the Big Ten championship, loses, then still gets into the playoffs, loses in the second round to Notre Dame. Then goes to the transfer portal and finds Fernando Mendoza, Elijah Surratt, finds Kalon Black. And they just have been building this machine for the past 2 years. Nothing short of perfection. And it's been great to watch. As an Iowa fan, former player, I just retired from this sport, being able to watch Kurt Signetti do what he has done in the past 2 seasons with I hate using the word misfits, but essentially with a group of misfitted players coming from Cal, coming from a bunch of DT schools, coming from other Big Ten schools to transfer in and try to get on these spots. In fact, their center, Pat Coogan, played for Notre Dame and transferred to Indiana solely because he wanted to play closer to home. He wanted to play for a program that was very promising, that wasn't Notre Dame, or that wasn't closer to that side of the state. Okay, let me just refresh your memory. Okay, you don't see a lot of big players transferring from one side of the state to the other side of the state to play damn near in the same conference. Unfortunately, Notre Dame does not have a football conference, and that's another story that I feel like is just going to be redundant at this point. Join a damn conference, you probably would have gotten into the college football national playoff bracket. Okay, if you were in the conference, you would have got in an at-large slate. And big shout out to my wife. Everybody in the comments on TikTok, in the chat, write in capital letters, "Hey babe," because she loves it when you do that, and I also love it when you do that. Also, if you're on here on the YouTube and the stream on Facebook, smash the like, smash the share. Make sure you're following us all over the place: TikTok, YouTube, StreamYard. Make sure you give a huge shout out and get your Mack Truck merchandise from In My Bag Apparel. Big shout out to Evan Thunder Bradfield in the In My Bag Apparel and Customs squad. Okay, big shout out to Bullies Cuts and Styles, CB the Bully out here. Listen, like I said, the college football national championship bracket is now at 12 teams. And frankly, it's got to go to 16 in order for people to really see what it's about. To really see what college football and how it's transformed. Okay, that's what it is. And for those of you who don't quite understand, college football went from being a 4-team bracket with a Power 5 conference of schools. A Power 5 means you are a in a conference, you are a division, you have enough players and athletes and students to be considered the upper echelon of collegiate sports. So at that time, it was the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, and you have 5 college spots. Pair 4 and a group 6 with 12 spots. And frankly, it's got to go to 16. It's got to be 16. It's got to be a 16-team bracket. You make 6 conferences, so Power 6. Each of the conference champions get a top spot. Each of the conference champions get a spot. Then you fill in at large from there, which also includes teams, teams from like the American Conference, the MAC Conference, things like that. Well, yes, they may be smaller D1 schools, you still include them. And I've had different arguments with people about, how would you feel if these smaller schools got demolished? That means that they need to try to find a way to recruit better. That means they got to find a way to, make their recruiting class, make their team tougher to be able to compete with those upper echelon D1 schools. And what I mean by that is literally the Indiana Hoosiers, who essentially started the game hot and didn't let off the gas until Kurt Cinetti said to. And frankly, I'm for it. What I mean by that is, again, if you guys watch the Big Ten, if you've watched and followed along with college football, okay, you see that Big Ten conference has a lot of playing matchups, just like any other conference. Right now, the one we're speaking about, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the Indiana Hoosiers versus number 5, the Oregon Ducks. They played each other in the regular season. The Ducks lost. The Indiana Hoosiers barely came out of that game with a win. That was probably one of their hardest games to retain on the winning schedule, along with the University of Iowa. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and say it right now. That game, the Iowa game and the Oregon game for Indiana, was probably 2 of their hardest games. They're still undefeated. Fernando Mendoza is a dude. I don't know what planet he dropped off of, but that man and his game is going to translate to the NFL, much like Dante Moore, whose game is also going to translate into the NFL. Now, this is something that really chaps my behind, okay? This is what chaps my behind. Before this game, Dante Moore was slated to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft. First of all, do you know how damn disrespectful that is? And that's not saying that Dante Moore doesn't deserve to be drafted high, because frankly, I think he's going to go in the top 10. I think he's going to go in a lottery pick. He should not, however, be above the Heisman Trophy winner and the Coach of the Year with Fernando Mendoza Jr. and Kirk Cinetti. No, that is disrespectful. Just because he might have more yards or something, some random intangible, does not mean he's more qualified to be the number 1 overall pick over Fernando Mendoza. Now, obviously, you go off of what teams draft with what they need. What do they need first? What do they need second? And then so on and so forth. And they go down the line. Now, with that being said, with game stats, okay, Dante Moore throws a pick six right off the rip. Not even 15 seconds into the game, throws a pick six on a very badly ran flat route off the tight end. Safety comes over the top, picks it, runs right back for 6 yards. I mean, it like you couldn't sneeze, and you could have. I almost missed it. I was sitting right here watching the damn game myself, yelling and screaming and cussing at the TV. I was like, "Oh, Oregon about to hate this game. Like Oregon about to be the proverbial punching bags for the Indiana Hoosiers." As that's exactly what happened. Indiana wins. It was 24 for 39, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception off the rip. Deer Hill goes 86 yards for 5 carries. Jamar Johnson goes 83 yards, 4 receptions for 1 touchdown. Now, listen to these stats when I tell you that this is now the third game that Fernando Mendoza has played in the college football national playoff bracket. That he's had either less than 200 yards and missed less than 5 passes and still has multiple touchdowns, or he has multiple touchdowns with higher rates of passing. This game, he did not throw over 200 yards. He literally did not throw over 200 yards. And it's wild to me to even fathom the fact that you can throw less than 200 or 300 yards, have multiple touchdowns, and to completely demolish a route implement. It don't matter. Fernando Mendoza had only 177 yards. He went 17 for 20 on the day. He made 17 complete throws and missed 3 and attempted 20. Let me repeat that. He had 170 yards, less than 20 on the day. 17 completions out of 20 attempts, which means he missed 3 damn passes all 4 quarters, or all 3 quarters that he played. And 5 touchdowns. That's a whole hand. 5 touchdowns. That's a whole hand. Like, what? But can't be. Alien, and I'm for it, to be quite honest with you. Either way, Kalon Black also added to said stat line. 63 yards, 12 carries, 2 touchdowns, and Elijah Rock, who also I believe is going to go in the first round. Not quite sure if he's going to go super high again, depending on what team he falls to, what that looks like. But 75 yards, 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns. What? Like, listen, I'm floored, okay? I'm also super excited to be talking about this and still having the opportunity to, because, there's a lot of streams, a lot of people, and things which shows everybody wants to, but I'm genuinely here to talk and discuss sports. Whether we're arguing, debating, going over random stat lines, things like that. It's wild to me to think how far Indiana has come from being the most losing team in college football to now being one of the scariest teams in a best way possible in college football, with a Kirk Cinetti, with a Fernando Mendoza, Elijah Surratt, Kalon Black. I mean, the entirety of the defense. Their defense is so damn scary. And I'm just sitting here like, as a Big Ten fan, I'm like, I need my team to get there. And frankly, because we're just going to make a little bit of a segue when it comes to college football and just the overall season as it is. Obviously, I have to talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes, because the Iowa Hawkeyes have been a thorn in everybody's side this season alone. We finally had a quarterback. I wish we had Mark Nowski for another year, but I think he's going to be probably a late 3rd round, 4th round pick, depending on who and where he's going. He's a ball senior contract for award winner, best offensive college ball. Okay, all them mugs are getting drafted. I don't care what you tell me. Can't tell me not a single one of them folks is going to get drafted. 3 are in the Shrine Bowl, 3 of them are in the Senior Bowl right now as we speak. Get ready to take off. Okay. The Iowa Hawkeyes record at 9-4 ending after they, beat Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. proves to you that they could hang in the SEC. Not saying they're going to be world beaters. Wouldn't say that they would beat an Alabama, or hell, they might beat Alabama at this point. Indiana beat them, and we lost to Indiana by 5 points. Okay, all of Iowa's losses this season, when it comes to just the entirety of the season, have been less than 30, 25, 30 points in total. Okay, Iowa's offense this year, it was just under the top 5 at number 6 across the entire season. Okay, Mark Gronowski. Also, here's a cool stat for y'all who think y'all know college football. Mark Gronowski this year was the most winning college quarterback in college football. Okay, he had 59 wins and 11 losses, has 2 national championships at Division 2, and broke his own record for rushing touchdowns. Had 13 or 14 rushing touchdowns through 12 or 13 touchdowns passing this season. Like, this is crazy to me to just sit here and think about the entirety of the fact that we're sitting here today just kind of going over the mind-bogglingness that is college football, or really sports in general, and how far sports have come is nuts to me. I love it. You love it. And if you don't, why are you here talking sports with me? Okay. And like I said, I thank you guys for joining me. We're back on the live cycle when it comes to the show. We've got the radio edit. We've got the podcast edit. We've got the live edit. I see everybody in the chat. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the love on here. I see the comments. I see the likes. I see the shares. Like, keep doing it. That's how you get the independent sports media realm out there. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I keep seeing people in the chat. I don't know how to add a new goal once it pops off the screen. So if one of my mods is in here and want to fix it, please do. But kind of just some more, just housekeeping, if you will. I've been getting a lot of questions and comments as far as like where they can find me, where they can, interact with me. I pretty much am everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, StreamYard, LinkedIn. I also have one of them Discord things. I don't know how to use the damn thing yet, but I have a Discordy. Okay. Super novice, don't know what I'm doing, but I have one. So you can find me there too. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. The more of a professional platform, if you will. But in terms of the sports talk, independent sports media, all of the things, you can also find all the Mack Truck merchandise through In My Bag Apparel and Customs with Evan Thunder Bradfield, one of the official sponsors for the Mack Truck podcast, the Mack Truck show. You can also book your haircuts and all things barber and beard phantasm, okay, through Truth Studios. Big shout out to Gary Duke Williams, better known as my big brother in the family shop. Make sure you're hitting them up on Booksy.com, the Whatnot app, Big Cartel, pretty much anywhere you can get your socials, booking links, all the things, okay? And I also want to take this time to give a big shout out to the newest sports bar in Des Moines back home. And I'm salty that I'm not there to experience it, but we will get there in due time. Big shout out to Heroic Sports Lounge, the very first and official women's sports bar in Des Moines, Iowa. I cannot wait to get there. Okay. And again, if you listen to the radio edit, if you listen to the show edit, the podcast edit, we dive deep into women's sports this week. This is also a women's sports based show. So there's a lot of that going on. You just got to look. You just got to know where you're looking. Okay. And also, because I don't want to overthink. I don't want to put too much into it, but there may be some news coming out of the Mack Truck front when it comes to new sponsors and things like that. So stay tuned. We're working on stuff. I'm pumped to still be in this space with y'all. Like, so excited to be in this space with you guys. So listen, that's all I got for the live show today. Okay, that's all I got. I'm gonna stay on here on the TikTok side of things for just a little bit, kind of collect some Q&As. Make sure you're following us on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us on all social medias. Make sure you are interacting, asking the questions, all the things. It's been a pleasure to be back with you. Like, it's been a pleasure to be back on the live realm of things, okay? Tap the screen, spread the word, share it to somebody, and share it with somebody who watches the game like we do, okay? Tap the screen, like, share, subscribe, share it on here, share it with your mama, share it with Granny. If Granny don't have any soap operas to watch, make sure she's listening and watching the Mack Truck podcast. That's all I got to tell you. For those of you still on the TikTok, stay tuned. I'll be right back. For those of you on the YouTube and Facebook streams, I thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you in a couple days. Bye. Love it here.